Well, Doctor, of all of the unfortunate souls that I have had the unfortunate displeasure of devouring, this one was possibly the worst, and yet the most delectable. Because not only was I given a myriad of horrible experiences, but also it's all in such exquisite detail. I remember the words as if I sucked out his mind just yesterday. God damn it, all of this fucking adventurer's insurance. What is the point if none of it's going to be covered? Seriously, why in the goddamn fuck do I have to keep buying 30 fucking daggers from these stupid assholes? And then they threaten my fucking life because I won't buy obviously cursed items from them. What is the point? Not to mention, I live in a fucking inn. I have 9 roommates. One of them's a fucking awakened chicken. He pays half the rent. What is the point? I moonlight as a carriage driver. How many jobs do I need? Oh, God, if I could have been a priest.
Welcome to another episode of I've been Isekai'd to a fantasy world without superpowers doing mundane jobs to get by, or for short, HyperTo! Welcome to another episode. Today we got one of our best friends, Lockie, and if you couldn't tell by the title, we are doing D&D, or more specifically, slightly more specifically, Baldur's Gate 3. If you guys don't know what Baldur's Gate is, it's a video game, or in this case, it is a renowned city in D&D, specifically within the Forgotten Realms setting. Mm-hmm. And then if you guys don't know what D&D is, it's a, how would you describe it, Lockie? Put it simply.
D&D is a tabletop role-playing game where players get to experience a narrative through the creative lens of literally anything, because it's player driven.
Yeah, it's I've started a couple of campaigns with some friends. It's been a lot of fun. It takes a lot of creativity, and you got to have sort of friends that are willing to be creative with you and goof off. Because if you have friends that like use their own voice or doesn't try to act as their character, it gets a little boring, I think, in my opinion. But
yeah, it's difficult. Right? You have to have a certain level of buy-in in your games, and you have to have a mutual understanding with your players about why you're playing. Fun combat, role-playing, intrigue, whatever. Yeah,
definitely. So off of today's topic, it's good. The D&D is a little hard because it's very player-based interaction, and we're actually going to incorporate that in our topic today. Because a lot of D&D cases, there's a lot of dice roll going on. Right, you gotta have your persuasion check, gotta have your insight check, gotta have your observation check. So it's gonna be a lot of fun with this topic here. But based on player interaction, we talked about that, and then languages. There's a lot of freaking languages going on in this.
Yeah.
So we're going to try to keep it to a minimum. We're not going to go too deep into it like, oh my God, there's 30 different languages. How are they going to deal with this, that, and the other? We're going to keep it simple. We're going to hit on that topic, but we're going to sort of be really relaxed on that. Have you guys ever had a crazy scenario come up in your campaigns before?
Yeah. Campaigns are kind of built on crazy scenarios. I'll let Lockie go first.
Oh gosh. Well, anywhere that you have players and creativity involved, there's quite a bit of wild to be had. I think back to one of our campaigns where one of our players was just, he's an exceptional character actor in a lot of rights, and he very innocently pointed at someone, not exactly knowing in character that he could cast Toll the Dead, and ended up killing somebody who he wanted to stay alive.
Oh boy.
Oh my God. What about you, Cooper? Do you have anything funny about your campaign?
All right. Do we want to go off the deep end, off the bat?
I don't care. Just do whatever you want.
Okay.
You have something crazy.
So I'm in this hardcore survival campaign, right? And I'm playing a druid from the Underdark. We're in this coastal sea cave. We're having to find this sea hag so that we can defeat them and retrieve this sister of the seafaring captain that we were traveling with. Her sister had been taken by the hags, and then we had to go to the final hag cave to then retrieve her. Well, at one point, we got into combat with the hag, and there are tons of these like wells of water, just pitch black water throughout the area. We managed to get her shoved into one of these pits, essentially, filled with water. And being from the Underdark, my druid didn't want to wild shape into things that weren't native to the Underdark. So he decided to turn into a giant centipede. Because the way those things swim, they can swim. It's both terrifying and surprisingly efficient. So he's this 4-foot-long insect. And we were really struggling to defeat this thing. So then what he ends up doing, he gets a horrible bolt of inspiration and crawls inside her ass.
Pulling an Ant-Man Thanos
And then ends his wild shape and literally eviscerates her from the inside out. I did also almost die for that, and I gained a level of madness and the permanent fear of claustrophobia. But I did it.
That's fun. So we just started a campaign with my friends, and it's sort of a ancient, not even ancient times, but back then when there's only Stone Age, pretty much. And I'm a monk. I'm a monk that is very, very young. I was going out to the world to find enlightenment. And the only thing he says is things that he hears from his abbot. So he only repeats things. So whenever a situation comes up that's related to something his abbot told him, he just repeats that. So one of my friends is actually pissed IRL because the way I talk about everything, because everything's super philosophical when it comes to monks, Buddhism, and things like that. So he got so mad at me because he's the type of player that just does whatever the fuck he wants, right? But I go in saying like, peace can only happen within, things like that. It's just like he gets so mad because he's a rogue, and he was stealing someone else's pigs at one point, and then I caught him stealing. I'm like, I don't know. There's a bunch of quotes that I found on ChatGPT that I just used. He just got so mad at me RL. Then we got because we were playing for about 4 hours, and around midnight he's like, dude, I need to get off because I'm actually getting pissed right now. So, and we were in a city that we weren't even supposed to be in. He was like, I'm going to go in this city over here real quick. So, it was just a lot of fun. We're going to have a lot of fun with this because we're going to base things off of the cost of living. In a bunch of the DM books, there is a cost of living. Lifestyle, expensive, sort of cast it in which way. We got wretched, squalid, poor, modest, comfortable, wealthy, aristocratic. So we're going to go off of rent. We're not going to talk about buying houses. We could, depending on how much money we make. But wretched, you're broke, you're homeless, and you're living off the streets, right? Squalid, your daily cost is 7 copper for rent and 3 copper for food. On DM's book, it says a leaky, filthy shack is the most violent and disease-stricken part of town. Threadbare clothes, thin gruel, and moldy bread. Poor, your daily cost is 1 silver rent, 6 copper for food, 4 copper for other expenses. A 1-room cottage, a room in the flop house or a mat in the tavern common room, much patched clothes, sufficient food, although you seldom see meat. The few coppers you can spend each day may go to repairs for belongings, or you can save up for bigger expenses like a torch. Modest, 2 rooms in a larger house or a simple room at an inn. You eat healthy and can afford meat once or twice per week of fare, and you can afford new clothes and some luxury items. Daily cost is 5 silver for rent, 3 silver for food, 2 silver for other expenses. Comfortable. You rent a house or a quality room. The food is varied and prepared well. You can afford meat and other luxuries daily, although you might need to dip into other expenses. Daily cost is 8 silver for rent, 5 silver for food, 7 silver for other expenses. Wealthy. Not a care in the world except for money and the opinions of high and mighty others becoming visible too. 2 gold rent, 8 silver for food, 12 silver for other expenses. Aristocratic. Daily cost. Also, as you can tell, you don't give a fuck about how much you spend mostly. But 4 gold for rent, 2 gold for food, 4 gold for other expenses. Pretty much you get everything wealthy has plus more. So we're going to go off of that for the most part. There is some things that you can buy for housing. We'll just throw it up there real quick. A hovel is 5 gold for 1 room, a 5 by 10 feet. A wooden frame and woven mats, you're pretty fucking miserable. Cottage is 100 gold, 2 rooms, a 10 by 10 feet each. A pile stone wall and thatched roof saves you for housing cost of a squalid to a poor lifestyle. Taxes 25 to 36 gold per year. A small house and so forth. We're not going to state everything, but I'll throw it up on the screen for you guys. Okay. What do you guys think is in every isekai anime? Every single one. There's one thing that is common in every isekai anime. What do you guys think it is?
Beach episode.
Well, it's Truck-kun.
Truck-kun, yes. No, it's a fucking carriage driver. Every single isekai anime, you have a carriage driver. What isekai anime have you not seen a carriage driver before? Name one. Go. Right?
Sword Art Online.
No, there's still a carriage driver. There is a carriage driver in there.
I'm glad I don't remember it well enough to remember that.
There is a carriage driver in SAO.
Oh, yeah, there is.
Even in Gun Gale, there is a carriage driver. Right?
Yeah.
If you guys have one that there is no carriage driver in an isekai in an anime, let us know. Because I swear to God, there is a carriage driver in every single anime. That's your first job. You are a chauffeur. You are a chauffeur in our world. You get hit by Truck-kun, and you're a carriage driver.
That's got to feel like a betrayal too. Getting hit by your
Vehicle.
main source of income.
What is the current salary for a chauffeur in our world?
HypeTo Chevrolet.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it took me a second. I'm gonna die alone.
The current salary for a chauffeur is roughly $35,000 a year. You don't really need a degree, just need to be a good driver and got to be able to listen to orders. No real requirements besides those two things. Lockie, what do you think the most crazy thing would happen as a carriage driver in the world of Baldur's Gate 3?
As a carriage driver?
As a carriage driver.
Are you saying happening to the carriage driver?
To the carriage driver.
Maybe being eaten by an illithid. That would be pretty. That would be pretty metal.
That'd be a good way to go out. It would suck, but it'd be a cool story.
No. I'd rather die to some hot elves. Not gonna lie.
I'm stepping into the wrong territory. Literally anything. You accidentally roll by the aboleth pond, and you're not going anywhere else for the rest of your life.
Can you imagine? Just you pick up some adventures, right? You're driving, you're just sort of dilly-dallying along. And next thing you know, the world freezes around you. And you're like, and because you've been isekai, you sort of have abilities, but remember, you don't have superpowers. So you just got ability to break through the fourth wall, right? So you're just hanging out, and you're like, fuck, this is happening again. I'm frozen. And you're listening to all the adventures in the background. Okay, guys, roll for insight. Roll for observation. And you're waiting. You're like, fuck, not this again. Shit, I rolled a nat 1, guys. And got a bunch of goblins now. You got a bunch of goblins spawning around you. You're just like, here we go again.
I mean, generally speaking, there is no... Because all of the travel you see in a D&D campaign is player instigated. You'll generally never see uneventful travel in any D&D world.
Right, but I mean, just imagine being isekai and you have to deal with all those things. Because in anime, right, you see people doing the travel scenes all the freaking time. And like, oh no, Big Bad Wolf is here now. Right?
Or you get into those overly confident highwaymen that are actually like
The
really
bandits.
slouchy.
So we got a couple of things here that sort of changes because you're here. So first of all, we talked about carriage insurance, right? Or adventures insurance, or anything that's related. Because, I mean, would there even be insurance in that world in the first place?
I think anywhere where human greed exists, there will always be insurance. There will always be people looking to protect assets and people willing to take money from people to protect their assets.
True. So that means, will there be a union for carriage drivers?
Maybe a guild. That's probably
A
the
guild,
closest.
maybe? Get a guild. So now they get paid hazard pay, right?
It might even be like a subsect of like a merchant's guild or something.
Oh, I can see that. That would be cool, actually.
Yeah.
But most merchants are greedy assholes. So do you think there's going to be hazard pay involved?
No, absolutely not. Workers' rights.
Workers' rights don't exist.
I think greedy merchants versus like actual noble people, or well, adventurers. If adventurers are involved at all, goodbye to all your rights.
Yeah. Yeah. For real, though.
Oh god. You can call it like the commuters union or something.
You don't consult the constitution of the country you're in before you make a decision as a player.
Never. Never.
Who's got time to read that word?
I mean, what else? I mean, what else would be crazy? Walking, being a carriage driver. I mean, you got to be dealing with a bunch of bullshit.
I feel like this is dependent on what the constraints of the job are here. If you're like your average Elder Scrolls carriage driver, where you're just going from city to city in a fixed circuit, I feel like, generally speaking, those paths are well traveled. You'd be fine. But if you're like, because we've used the word chauffeur, like, are you just taking these assholes out in the middle of nowhere?
They pay you like $900 a trip,
And I mean,
but you almost die every time.
if you considered long resting and the time passing, like, they're leaving you out there for 4 or 5 days.
Oh my god!
You're just stuck out there, like, I don't know if they're gonna come back. Like, what's your waiting fee?
I forgot about long rest and short rest. Oh,
Just constantly.
You got to factor in some entertainment costs there, because what the fuck are you gonna?
what are you
That's
gonna
about
do
it.
sitting?
So
5
boring.
days?
Oh my god! Well, seriously, what are you gonna do? What is there to entertain? I mean, cards exist, right? So you're playing solitaire by yourself.
Yeah, because
Playing
cards are going to be a lot cheaper than any books.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. Oh my god. So a waiting fee, hazard pay. And those are two pretty good ones, right? Mm-hmm. Right, include those in there. There's a fee for your horses and fixing the carriage, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Bro, what
General
happens if you
business
have
expenses.
asshole adventurers? Your wheel breaks off and you're like, guys, I sort of need help here. And they just walk off on their own. You're like, okay, great.
Right, here's a sending stone. Oh, yay! I can use this. By the way, that's for a castle like across the continent, and it will not help you at all. But you can sell it. It's like, where am I gonna go?
One of the interesting things I found when you're playing a D&D game, and this is something I really had to kind of push my players on, because at one point, my mistakes as a DM, I'd given out some magical items that were a little too overpowered. So my players, I really had difficulty challenging the two who had those magic items, but the two who didn't, it was a different story. So I had to create interesting narrative stakes. They bought their own carriage and their own horse, so one of the battle maps that I had devised was specifically around protecting their carriage. There was no
Nice.
real threat to themselves, but their carriage was at risk.
Nice. That sounds fun. That's a pretty cool idea. I like that.
Battle. So
Oh my god. I was looking through their notes and I'm like, oh, what about a rogue, right? A rogue that loves stealing. You're sitting there in the carriage, you're just driving. You take them off. Okay, thanks guys. Thanks for the money. You go back and you feel, fuck, that rogue again. God damn, another rogue. Another fucking rogue.
I don't advocate for this, but I think that, justifies pointing to a sign that says we don't serve your kind here.
We don't serve rogues here. If you're a rogue, get the fuck out.
If you have a knife and a hood, no way.
Don't make me point at the side. Bing.
And then because there's no really set prices, you got to deal with people trying to, not mug you. That's not the word.
Depending on how you do it.
Depending on how you do. But bribery will be involved. They're like, come on, man. Just give us the free ride. We'll pay you when we're done with the mission. I promise.
Yeah.
Right?
Like, I
Or
watched
haggle.
you
Thank
literally teleport.
Yeah. Or you haggle, or they start haggling like, really? 5 silver? Come on. It's not worth that much. 4 silver, 2 copper. Come on. Super easy, right? It's not that much of a difference, right? Got to deal with all that haggling involved because there's no set prices. Mm-hmm. Dude. And then every time there's a persuasion check. So you got to deal with the persuasion check every time you talk to someone.
It's like 9 different rolls from 4 different people. You're like,
All right, next. Roll nat 1. Get the fuck out of here. You owe me money now. Next person comes in, nat 20. Fuck, okay, I'll give you the 5 gold instead. Oh my god. Now you have to also deal with deception checks and everything else now. Oh my god.
I mean, at least that's just part of the normal business world.
Still, but it's your first day there. You got to deal with all those checks.
That would suck regardless. If you had to deal with adventurers day one of being a carriage driver, Isekai'd into the world of Baldur's Gate.
You got to deal with a lot of BS going around. Oh my god.
And imagine like the adventurers, if we're looking at it from like a fourth wall aware of the player perspective, imagine the player like just pauses the game, and depending on what system you're on, like I think on console, it will keep the game running even though you've put the console in rest mode. It hasn't officially turned the game off. So then you have to sit there because existence has not been disabled for you. You can't move, you can't speak, and you had to pee right before it happened. The worst fucking form of torture. Oh, God.
That would be awful. Having fourth wall abilities, but you actually have no real superpowers. So you're just standing around.
I'm sorry, that's my 5th save file I'm never coming back to.
No, thank you.
Just a fucking
No, thank
tragedy.
you. Oh my god. All right. As a carriage driver, how much money do you think you'll be making? Salary per year. How much do you think? That's the hard part because it's silver, gold, right, and copper. I don't think anywhere in the guidebook it talks about how much a carriage driver would make, right?
Not necessarily. If
Well, you can
wanted
hire a
to-
carriage.
Oh, you can?
Oh,
What book is that in?
I think that's just in the PHB or the DMG. But like, there's like
You can
across
do
town
caravan
and then like
hire.
between two cities or something.
Gotcha. Because, I mean, you can figure out, like, the daily mileage of a horse and carriage and do all of that math.
Caravan.
Like, it exists somewhere in the DMG, if I'm not mistaken.
Hirelings, that's what it was. It's in the hirelings section.
I wonder how much it cost actually.
I mean, wouldn't it be somewhat dependent on where you're traveling? Like, if
That's
you're
true.
traveling
Distance.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, that's why I said hire a character, not hire a carriage driver. This is what happens when you try to type and talk at the same time, especially if
Full
you are
prices
a
for
fucking
travel.
idiot like me.
Let's see. Suppose a player wanting to travel. What does this red post say? Between towns, 3 copper per mile. Within a city, 1 copper.
There it is.
Rates of a coach cab fare on page 159 of the PHB under services. There we go. So per mile. Oh man, this depends on the map too. This is the hard part.
Gotcha.
You got me. That's good.
I mean, what we want to assume, in, like, we'll just use our world as a metric. What's
Yep.
the average distance between cities?
Between here and Lewiston, it's only 5 miles, depending on where you're at.
Okay, but, like, here in Spokane, like,
Here in
major
Spokane.
cities.
Spokane is what, 80, like 100 miles, I think? No, less than that. About 100, right?
It takes, like, 2 hours to get
Is it?
there. And
Yeah.
it's mostly 65 between here and
60.
there. So, wouldn't it be, like, 120 miles?
Yeah, it's about 100 something, yeah. Well, no, the only reason why I know is because on my Tinder, 99 miles is is Spokane. So about 100 miles.
You dog.
It's actually thanks to Ethan. Ethan knows that.
104.6 miles.
See, told you about 100.
Oh, 4.6.
Yeah,
okay.
so that's going to be roughly 300 copper.
It's 3 copper per mile.
Yeah, 3 copper per mile.
313.8 copper per trip.
313. So we'll just go 314.
And then you have to consider how long that trip would take.
Yeah, that's
By
also
carriage.
quite the distance
Yeah.
by carriage. That's because a typical carriage speed is, what is it, 15 miles per day? Like if you're going like covered wagon cross country style.
Something like that.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
So that's
Oh my
gonna take a long
That's
time.
like a week of travel right there.
I mean, also that is kind of the standard in medieval settings
True.
of like having to take a
True, yeah.
multi-day carriage ride.
Yeah.
But it's not going to be a short time.
So you're making 300 copper a trip. How often are you making that trip back there and here? How often do you think? Because it's
See,
a
that's
week,
like 3
so
gold.
so probably three trips a month, right? 3 trips a month,
Okay.
right? I think that makes
I can
sense.
see that.
3
Yeah.
trips a month. So then that's about 950 copper-ish.
Yeah. So
We go 950.
you're getting about so it's a currency rate of 10. So 10 copper pieces is 1 silver. 10 silver. So divide by
about 3
100.
gold.
9 gold.
9 gold. Yeah, 9
Gold
gold.
a
Yeah,
month.
like
That's not bad.
9 gold, 5 silver.
That's not bad at all.
Refer to the cost of living chart. I think that actually kind of
That's.
sucks.
I mean,
If you're spending that at that point, it's almost more like a truck driver.
So the
like a
daily
semi-driver with
necessities-
How often you're on the road?
so the daily necessities for comfortable living is 8 silver for rent, 5 silver for food, 7 silver for other expenses.
So 2 gold a day.
2 gold a day. Oh, you're making nothing for comfortable living. Modest is
Honest is pretty livable.
5 silver for rent, 3 silver for food, 2 silver for other expenses.
5, 3, 2, 1 gold. So you can live 9. What was that? Comfortable days.
That was modest, is what I
9
just said.
modest days.
9 modest days. So
9
that
modest days a
so
month.
poor then is 1 silver, 6 copper, and 4 copper.
Wait, if they're figuring rent into there though, you're a transient being a carriage driver.
True,
Right.
but so you only
the
need one
costs
rent,
are lower.
3 rent days a month because you're just staying there for a night and then probably traveling back the next day, right?
I'd assume you'd just like
Right.
camp at the
Think
point
you?
of being a
Oh,
carriage
probably. So
driver.
maybe you don't need to include rent for this one.
Oh.
The way I see it,
Food
well,
and expenses for your horse
mhm.
and your carriage.
if they're on the road that constantly, I would assume that there is a guild for them, just so that they can also communicate and get things figured out, make sure the road system is
Right. I can see that.
maintained. If they do that, they probably go in shifts, so that like like you'll go with me, and then if you need to go to the next place, you'll go with this other driver, so that I can spend some time in town. And then that way,
Maybe, yeah.
they'll have lodging with the guild, but they'll have a guild membership
Well,
fee.
maybe
kind of
we'll
thing.
just assume right now that they're just going back and forth constantly. Maybe we'll just assume that. So it's still about 9 gold, a little over 9 gold, 9 gold and 5 silver technically a month, right? We'll assume that. We'll say they're camping because they're a carriage driver, so they're just outside, just right outside the city walls, just camping. So we don't have to include rent anymore. If we go modest living, if without rents, only 3 silver for food and 2 silver for other expenses. That's 5 silver a
cuts
day.
the living
though.
cost in half.
It does. I don't think you'll be living modestly, to be honest,
At that point, you could live comfortably. You'll just have to be on the road a shit ton.
because food is expensive.
Oh, wait, is this rate for the whole party or is this rate per adventure? Because
Oh, that's true
that's a
too.
decent
Actually,
point. Because then you're making what 900 times 4, 3,600,
Yeah.
36 gold. That's nothing to scoff at.
it doesn't say on here whether it's per. It's just says per mile. It doesn't say anything about a per adventurer.
It probably depends on the carriage driver at that point. You could set your
Oh,
own
that's
rates.
hard.
And then if there's like, if you have
Yeah.
to haul any cargo along with it that's like specialized, or if you're above a certain like weight limit, or if you're seating more people in the carriage than what you typically allow, then you can charge more.
True. Oh man, I don't know how to think of this now.
Well, I guess taxis don't charge by the person; they just charge for the rate.
Mile. Yeah, they just
and
charge
the
for the mile.
miles.
Yeah, so I don't think you would charge per adventure. I think it's just per mile.
Yeah. Unless you have a Goliath with you, then you'll probably charge extra because they're so fucking heavy.
Have a giant, a Goliath, and half orc in with you.
Like, oh, okay, somebody's paying for my axles.
Someone's walking. You could probably walk faster than I can drive.
It's the monk.
So, I mean, you would probably be living I don't know if modest would be it, because 5 silver a day, which is, what is that per week? 5 to, that's
3.5 gold a week.
3.5 gold a week, and you're making 9. So I don't know if you're living modestly. I think you're between poor and modest, to be honest. I think you're between poor and modest because you also have to feed the horse and got to take care of the carriage. So I think you're living between poor and modest for sure.
Doing slightly better than a taxi driver in most cities in the U.S.
I think so. So, I mean, I think this, to be honest, being able to travel with a bunch of cool adventures would be really dope. I think that'd be really, really fun.
Hey Cooper, could you do me a favor and pull up the federal poverty line real quick? I just want to see how close it is to that average salary you found.
Oh boy.
Oh no, I don't want to
Yep.
know the numbers.
Can do.
Oh boy.
I was also
Oh,
looking up
boy.
in the trade goods because feed for your horses is going to be fairly
cheap. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
definitely on the cheaper side for sure.
That's the thing, is that inflation is not nearly as bad here. So that'd almost be worth it to get Isekai'd here just for the peace of mind
That's true.
in the economy.
I think the biggest worry you would have to be concerned about is the taxes that the mayor or the governor or the aristocrat that owns that land. That's probably the biggest worry you would have. Definitely.
So as a single individual, the 2024 income number for federal poverty line is $15,060.
Okay. How much does a taxi driver make?
We'll find out.
I'm a little scared. It has to be more than the poverty line. What does it
It
say?
varies slightly based on the state, of course.
Of course.
But on average, about $15.05. So $15
All right,
per hour.
per hour.
So annual salary,
boy.
So
like
about
31.6.
Yeah. So you're above.
double, but living off of $30,000
It's
is a
rough.
trip.
It is rough. I
Been there?
have firsthand experience right there. Yeah, I think you'll be living a pretty decent life. Here's the worst part. This is the last part I want to leave off with the carriage driver is that your ass is gonna hurt.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta need some sort of cushion. You know how funny that would be if your one superpower is to make comfortable cushions for yourself.
Bro, it would be so worth it.
Dude,
Quality
you'd be
of life
making
is the
bank
best.
selling it to everybody if you did that.
And you can't be thrust into a war by just being able to make comfortable cushions.
True.
They can't put you
true.
on the front lines like they would if you could.
I don't
use
know. They
magic for a
used to take
fireball or
peasants to make
something.
them be in the front lines, though.
Well, I mean, that's different. This isn't like. That's just normal conscription. You know, that's your garden variety
ya.
military. But if you were Isekai'd and you had a cheat power, or if you
Mm-hmm.
could cast a single spell and it's an offensive spell, or it's a healing spell,
True. You'd be
yeah,
sent to war.
you would
Definitely.
be targeted. But if you can just make really comfortable seats, you'll be sought after, but they're not going to put you on the front lines. In fact, they might pull you from the front lines so that you can actually like
comfortable seats for
reupholster all the officers' chairs.
Oh, wait, we can solve this in game. We can solve
Okay.
this like players here.
Okay.
You need a comfortable seat, right? What's uncomfortable about the carriage? It's the fact that you're touching the wood and that
Mm-hmm.
it's bumpy.
Yeah.
You just have to buy.
Suspensions.
We'll assume
Moon
like
shoes.
we'll use the trucker metric here. You're traveling
Okay.
10 hours a day, right? So you need 10 tensors floating disc scrolls per day to just float you
Oh my
above the
god,
sea.
that is so expensive. Oh my god.
I feel like the carriage goes just slightly faster than the Tensor's floating disc is able to go. So you're like, slide off. Okay. Slide off. Fuck.
All right. So you realize your ass hurts too much to be a carriage driver. You're saying, fuck this. I don't want to deal with driving these asshole adventures. I don't want to deal with my ass turning into a flat surface. I want to be able to talk to really nice people. You know what? I realized I really love clothes. I really love selling things to people. Oh my goodness. I love it. So you decide to become a merchant. Or in this case, getting Isekai'd, you're going from retail salesperson to a merchant. How much does a retail person make, Cooper?
Well, John, a retail person's average salary is about 36.6. Now,
It's not bad.
in my head, that's a little bit high, but I guess that's close. Because
mean, I
that
don't
was
know. I
average
mean-
like $20 an hour, but cost
Right.
of living is terrible for
Awful.
us.
It
So
is
that's probably
awful.
why.
Yeah. Current requirements to be a retail person, nothing.
Patience.
Patience. Yeah, you don't really need much.
You don't
Yeah,
even
everything
need to be
else
out
you
of high
develop.
school.
Nope. You just need to be a high school person or high or older, and then you're vibing.
I guess in this world, you'd be Isekai'd with this already, unless you're a very specific edge case that came up in the news. But as long as you know your numbers and you
Yep.
can read,
Yep.
those two are the baseline for shopkeeps. Because you got to know
Yeah.
your money.
Yeah. And then realize your money's getting stolen because of a rogue again.
Yep.
Can you imagine being a merchant? You're like selling, you're talking to like a tank or something. You're just talking and you're like, okay, yeah, thank you. And then the tank walks away by nothing. You're like, oh, whatever. He'll probably come back. You turn around, check everything. Fuck. It was just, fuck. The rogue took my money again. Because it's always the rogue. Have you ever guys in your D&D session or in Baldur's Gate tried stealing stuff, not being a rogue? Have you guys tried that before?
Yeah, it's funny how bad it is.
You got your disadvantage, and then you got your modifiers, which is probably -1 or something.
At one point, I ended up using intimidation instead. Not in the sense of you will give this to me, but you do not see me taking this from you. Like,
Oh my god.
okay.
The orcish rogue.
The orcish rogue.
That's exactly what I was talking about.
Oh my god, you're just standing. There's an orcish rogue just in front of you. He tries an insight check on you to see, are you able to see me steal? Then he does a persuasion check to give you something for free. That didn't work. He then tries to do a deception check on you. That doesn't work. Then next thing you know, he does an intimidation check on you. You're like, fuck, how many checks is gonna happen? He rolls like under 10 on all of them. Do you think an orcish rogue would have disadvantage on his rolls?
Well, no, there's nothing about somebody's race that should suggest how good or bad they are at skills.
John.
Oh my god. Okay, just throw that at me. Fine.
No, if he's in a
Fine.
class, he's gained those proficiencies
True.
because he's.
I was just
he's
thinking
earned
about
his
it
salt,
in
so to
terms of
speak.
like bodily feature, because an orc is huge, right? Trying to sneak around as an orc doesn't seem very easy.
Yeah,
So-
theoretically, if he's managed to make it as a rogue, being an orc, he's found a way.
Well, no, I feel like you're kind of caught up in like the Skyrim idea of stealth there, where you can
True.
be standing in front of somebody who's looking at you, rather than the more realistic. You're blending in with the waving of the trees and the colors, and looking,
True.
gray man.
Yeah, there are many aspects to it.
What's the
They
thing?
could also just be like really good safe crackers,
True.
and that's it.
True. What would be one of the things that you want to avoid the most as a merchant in Baldur's Gate?
Wizards.
Wizards?
Yeah.
People claiming to sell you magical items.
Oh,
The trust me bros.
trust me, bro. This is the best thing in the world.
We had one shop in one of my games because our artificer was absent from the table. They're like, yeah, we sell magical weapons. They all do poison damage. And then when the artificer came back, he was like, you guys just bought a bunch of weapons made out of lead. They do poison damage to you.
Dipping in finesse. Now, there's also a second level illusion spell, and this bridges into our next subtopic of illusion spells. There's an illusion spell called Nistel's Magic Aura. So this lasts for 24 hours. It happens once you touch an item. You place an illusion on a creature or an object you touch so that divination spells reveal false information about it. The target can be a willing creature or an object that isn't being carried or worn by another creature. When you cast the spell, choose one or both of the following effects. The effect lasts for the duration. If you cast the spell on the same creature or object every day for 30 days, placing the same effect on it each time, the illusion lasts until it's dispelled, blah, 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 blah. False aura. You change the way the target appears to spells and magical effects, such as detect magic that detects magical auras. You can make a non-magical object appear magical, a magical object appear non-magical, or change the object's magical aura so that it appears to belong to a
Jesus.
specific school of magic that you
Oh
choose.
my god.
Indeed.
That's a crazy spell.
And then mask. You can change the way the target appears to spells and magical effects that detect creature types, such as a paladin's divine sense or the trigger of a holy symbol spell.
Oh my god.
Of a symbol spell. There we go. So essentially, this fucks with everything.
Yeah.
So you're like messing with the expert going on Pawn Stars.
Exactly.
Yes.
Like
Yes.
looking at this like holy symbol from the cult of Orcus, made of obsidian. Shout out to my current campaign. Thanks, Matt. And someone cast Nistel's Magic Aura on it, and they're like, "Oh yeah, this is from like Celestial Funtime Land over in Elysium," and it's like, it is Orcus's face. crafted from obsidian. You are a fucking liar.
Because it lasts for 24 hours, right? So
Unless
someone
you casted a bunch, like
Right.
just to hoodwink
Oh
a
my
specific
God.
shopkeep.
So they cast a spell on it like 5 times. You buy it from them. You give them all their gold because you know this is gonna sell well. You turn around, set it up in the shop, and you say, "Oh, I need to go on. I forgot. I have this vacation. I got this meeting. Right? You're gone for 5 days. You leave, come back, and it's gone. You're like, where the fuck is it? It's right there. And you take up this piece of shit, pretty much. You're like. It was right here. Who stole? It's a fucking rogue that stole it. You have no idea that it was just a piece of shit the whole time.
Oh god.
Dealing with wizards would not be fun.
And like illusionists and enchanters in particular, because of course you've always got the threat of annihilation by evokers or the horrible violation necromancers. Transmuters are just weird to everybody. They're the kids who eat crayons. I say being a transmutation wizard.
You're getting the bombastic side eye right now.
But illusionists and enchanters specifically are really nasty to use against shopkeeps because either you can have an improved illusion or you can essentially like enthrall someone with just basic shit because it's your specialty.
Right.
That's not fun.
No.
Not fun at all. Nobody likes their will or perception being overridden by someone without their fucking permission.
So, what's wrong with kids that eat crayons, Cooper? We might have words after this.
I never said there's anything wrong with them. I just said they eat crayons.
I mean, you compared them to transmutation wizards, so you're saying there's something wrong?
No, I'm saying rope trick has been my day one favorite spell. Who doesn't want a philosopher's stone? Am I right? Accidentally reincarnate yourself? Let's go.
On top of buying bullshit, you also have to purchase a bunch of BS from other adventurers. Hey, can I sell you these vases that I just accidentally took? Like, I took 5 vases on accident in my inventory. Here are 5 vases real quick.
You're like, you took these from my shop.
I have 20 fresh creature toes.
These are not fresh.
They're just rotten in your hand.
Where's the USDA when you need them?
How many things have you guys, like in your Baldur's Gate game itself, Baldur's Gate 3, how many like bullshit items have you sold to the merchants?
I sold 19 potions of, I believe it was sharpening or accuracy or something, like oil of sharpness.
Nice.
Just crafted them and sold them.
Yeah.
I like to keep a nice clean inventory, so everything possible. It's not being used, it's going in somebody else's hands. Goodbye.
I once sold a fucking rock because it got into my inventory.
I sold 10 vases of water on accident. I picked up 10 vases of water. Because this was my first game through. I had no idea what was important. I thought, oh, water, you got to drink water because there's this thirsty meter. No, it's not Skyrim. It's not any of the other games. I just assumed. I didn't know anything about it. So I bought a bunch. I didn't buy. I just picked up a bunch of water. And then I go in. I'm like, I haven't touched this water at all. My inventory's a little full. Go to the next merchant, sell it for like tiny pieces of gold.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that merchant, oops, sorry. Thanks for giving me all your gold for water.
Here's some stale water.
I feel like this is where you'd see a little bit of an interesting interaction with the guild here, because if you look through
my
like the
God.
PHB and the DMG, like the prices for everything are set no matter where you are. Generally speaking, if you're going like religiously by
Right.
the rules, so if it's written on that list, you have to take it at that price. I would assume, So it's like if they say we're taking rocks, we're taking rocks, and I feel like that would get.
That would be so messy.
It's like card game players watching ban lists. It's like, oh, please, no more rocks, no more daggers.
Crying back to Skyrim, how many iron daggers are you going to sell me? I don't need these.
Do you think any of it could be tax write-offs when you buy bullshit?
Honestly, yeah.
Right?
I think
You
having to
think
buy
so.
in bulk from these adventurers, because how often do you have the power to say no?
Yeah, and how often can you sell that bullshit after that?
Probably not very. It definitely depends on the like setting that you're in or like the environment.
Yeah.
Because for instance, if they sell you 19 vials of an oil of sharpness, I mean, at least that's semi-useful. You can like pass that out if there's like a monster invasion, or you
True,
can sell it to
true.
other people in the city. Also, like if you're selling to a small town merchant versus like a merchant in Baldur's Gate, there's going to be a lot of different similarities and contrasting differences.
True.
I feel like maybe here you might see some compacts between like guilds and governmental organizations too, because if assholes are coming in and selling 20 swords they picked up off highway bandits, you might just as well go and sell them to the military, the adventurers
Buyback
guild.
program.
Buyback program.
Oh, sorry, my spears were lost in a caravan accident.
Buyback program.
It's all just a circle. The soldier goes out to try and kill a bandit. The bandit kills a soldier. The bandit's killed by a soldier. His sword comes back to be sold at the shop and given to another soldier. Every weapon you've had has been through 30 pairs of sweaty hands before yours.
The grip, the leather grip used to be white.
Now
It
it's
is
red.
almost black.
Black. Oh, that's great. On top of buying bullshit, what happens if Adventurer sells you a cursed item? You can't do anything about it. You got no superpowers.
You got to get that shit checked out.
Bro, what are you gonna do now? You got this curse there, like curse -5 stamina.
Well, this depends on whether or not you end up being a merchant in a small town or a big city, because Remove Curse is a 3rd level spell, correct? So 3rd level spells, 5th level spellcasters, generally speaking.
If
so,
they're a full spellcaster.
So, you know, you're looking for like a decently powerful spellcaster, and certainly those won't be everywhere.
Right.
So I feel like in that particular scenario, you're kind of boned.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What happens is you get cursed bleeding? That's so boy. You buy it immediately. It's like a really nice dagger. You're like, yeah, I'll buy that for you. Is it cursed? Nah, fam. It ain't cursed, I promise. You buy it, and next thing you know, you got a bunch of cuts on you. Like, oh, fuck, I can't even chase them because I got no superpowers here. My stats are like the bare minimum for humans.
Yeah, you pick it up. You're like, you mind if I try this out? And it's like, go ahead. You pick it up and just spikes come out of your hand, like from the dagger. You're like, ah! Like, all right, no returns.
In Baldur's Gate 3, have you guys accidentally ever pressed the wrong button, the wrong key, and hit someone?
Yeah.
Oh, I intentionally hit Lae'zel during my first run when she was
Okay,
still
I
in the
fucking
cage.
hate Lae'zel. I hate Lae'zel so much. Like, I used to think, because we play Magic, right? And there's the Baldur's Gate set, right? I thought, oh, she's a pretty cool partner commander, right? I'm like, oh, she's pretty cool. Because Ty was thinking the same thing. And then we decided to play Baldur's Gate, and she's the most annoying piece of shit ever.
She's such
I
an asshole.
hate her so much in so many ways.
I used to hate Shadowheart, like to the
I
point
actually
where
like
once I
Shadowheart.
heard
She's mommy.
Shart, I called her that consistently. But keep in mind, this is also because when I first started playing, I could never get through Act 1.
Oh.
Like, I kept starting new characters with different groups of
I
people.
totally feel
I never
that.
had any time to finish Act 1
Yeah.
because none of those groups would ever meet up at the same time. So I'm playing 40 different characters. And of course, her stats in the beginning at level 1
They suck.
suck. So Sacred Flame almost never hits. Even though it's her dominant stat, it just almost never hits. Like, that is a statistical thing that has been discussed.
God.
She's great. She is great.
She's
but
one of your
that
better
pissed me
healers
off.
for sure in the game. So I never play healer. I choose not to play healer because
I choose to play healer.
you choose to play healer. I want swing sword.
Yeah.
That's how I play.
I also found out one of the most effective ways to defeat the Cambion general, I believe, or commander or whatever.
Talking about the very beginning.
Yeah,
to
before
get the sword.
you leave the Nautiloid.
Yeah.
Vicious Mockery.
Oh,
Yeah. Wisdom saves are his weakness. It worked like 80% of the time.
that's pretty good.
You can also use Shadowheart's command to disarm him.
Wait, really?
Yes. So command, you can make enemies drop weapons, and he won't go to pick it back up. So if you just want his sword, you don't even need to kill him.
I didn't even know that.
She doesn't have it prepared, so you actually have to go in and prepare the spell before that
Gotcha.
encounter.
But you get some nice XP when you do kill the general. So
Yeah. Command is great. I still could not get her to do anything with that. I feel like Shadowheart is just cursed with me. I'm very sad about that.
would you work as a merchant in Baldur's Gate? No, I wouldn't. Absolutely not.
I feel like I would.
You would?
Yeah, I'd wheel and deal, you know.
Having to deal with all those persuasion checks, deception checks.
I mean, you have to think about it like merchants, especially in like fantasy settings, are like very flamboyant.
That's
and,
true.
You know, they solve problems for people and they enjoy that. I feel like I'd be a hella good merchant.
That's
You
true.
got this problem, I got this solution. And like, even if I don't know how to use it or I don't have the skills to use it, here you go. You know, you want a scroll of magic missile to solve your problems? I got you.
Yeah.
What about you?
Especially with the knowledge of being Isekai'd, I would. What I would do is I can't have any powers, but I would get proficiencies in everything, and I would craft my own shit.
I was
Or learn
speaking
how
of
to fix
that.
shit.
You know how funny it would be? You have no superpowers, but you got a bunch of scrolls, so you just use all the scrolls against the adventurers.
Or, hear me out, you use your real world knowledge of how people abuse capitalist economics and you create a monopoly on
I
grain.
mean, yeah.
That goes without saying.
I mean, isn't that obvious?
Abuse the system that people haven't abused enough yet.
It's like, oh, I'm the only person who owns swords now if you want one.
All right. What do you think the most common thing you find in RPG games? The most common thing you find in RPG games?
Either dungeons or castles.
I mean, yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
Knives.
Knives.
Daggers.
You
That's
see
fair,
a lot
yeah.
of knives and daggers, yeah. But one of the most common things you actually see in RPG games are quests. You gotta have quests to proceed in the game, right?
Right.
What happens if you're a quest giver? In the real world job, you are actually a recruiter, end up being turned into a quest giver when you get Isekai'd. A quest giver. Can you imagine being a quest giver? I think we were talking about it last time when we were doing research on this. You could probably say better than me, but you have a quest that no one has able to pull off in 4 years.
Yeah.
You know you've sent many men to their death. You know you'll send many more. Your job is to just stand out here and keep sending people against the problem.
And you don't know what's happening because
You can't.
it's a
move.
gathering quest
That's a gathering.
for your daughter's birthday party. She'll never have her birthday. at this point.
Oh my god.
I just wanted some honeysuckles for my daughter Petunia's party. Why don't I get petunias, you ask? Well, because they don't grow in this area, you motherfucker. Why does everybody keep dying? There's just, well, an aboleth. There's an aboleth right next to the honeysuckle patch.
I can't help but notice the more bodies we feed to this necromancer's dungeon, the less people come back.
I wonder why. Once you get Isekai'd as an NPC, you are granted the privilege card of plausible deniability.
True. And you don't die very often either. You got the benefit of not dying.
I mean, as long as you're not like a quest giver in a PvP zone, like in WoW,
Oh,
Yeah.
true.
I was going to say, if
You're
you're an
likely to
essential
live.
NPC.
yeah, you're marked
Yeah.
essential. You know,
Yeah. You don't die. I think,
Essential workers, it finally means something.
I'm not going to lie. This is probably, as a quest giver, this is probably one of the safest jobs to have.
I'd say so.
Right?
Especially if you're a quest giver at like an inn or an adventurer's guild or a tavern or something like that. Like a static location that people deliberately come to you for quests. Yeah, super cushy job.
Yeah, very much. What does a recruiter usually make, Cooper?
A recruiter usually makes, let's see, what did I set? The current salary for that is around $77,500.
That's pretty good for a recruiter.
Yeah.
That's fucking painful.
Yeah. Yeah, it depends on who you're recruiting for. Like, a lot of our sources, I try using the Bureau of Labor Statistics because, of course, we're based in the U.S., so that's pretty easy to use. But they came up with stats for their own recruiters, which actually they're paid more
Right.
on average. So then I had to
Right.
figure out, okay, well, what about like a general recruiter
Yeah.
and separate that from military recruiters? Because in the Star Wars episode, we got into military soldiers, and I don't want to overlap that so soon. So yeah, 77.5.
77.5. What kind of skills do you think you need as a recruiter?
People skills, communication, because you probably get a commission as well.
Oh, that would be cool. I didn't know. I didn't think about that.
Can't dump charisma this time.
No.
Can't dump charisma this time.
I'm a charisma build, so it'd be great for
I
me.
am definitely not a charisma build. I'm a dexterity build. So,
A charisma built from birth.
oh my god,
The Rizzler.
Jesus Christ, Cooper!
God, I hate myself.
Oh, I did you do that?
I gotta boost our viewership somehow.
Oh my god. God, if you were, okay.
You might not
Where
get a
do you-
commission as a quest giver, though.
I was gonna say, and then you have to give them your own gold for them when they complete the quest. Do you think you ever go broke?
I feel like this is something that you'd like take on hold. So it's like, hey, you know, I'm willing to give an adventure 150 gold
Right.
for completing this task.
Right.
So you take the money from them to hand out. You're like a liaison, basically.
Uh,
It's like, you know, Noble Rug Dump or whatever his name is, isn't going to go sit out in the middle of the town square going, hey, little hope. That's beneath him. He hires someone to do it. You give him 150 gold and you just hang that out there and you're like, hey, if you do this for me, this is yours. The problem with that is, you know, just like wearing like designer clothes or, you know, designer jewelry in public is that everyone knows you have 150 gold on you, you know?
you got those rows coming for your gold again.
Gucci gang. Oh my god. Don't wear it. Don't wear it. Clutch your pearls, sweetheart.
Are you okay today, Cooper?
No, I'm not.
You're going all in on this one today.
So sorry.
Did we break you last night with the ranting?
Thank you for continuing that sentence. You scared me for a second. Did we break you last night? Like, no, Poopy.
Oh my god, dude.
We're enough
jeez.
episodes in. I can get a little bit weird.
Okay,
That's my excuse
that's
for not
fine.
going to therapy.
that's fine. Yeah.
To not go to therapy.
What would be the easiest quest to give? What do you think the easiest quest to give?
Kill some rats.
rats.
Yeah.
I say collect herbs.
Yeah. Collecting quest.
Yeah.
One of those ones where it's like you just have to go talk to somebody across the
I
city.
hate those so
Yeah.
much.
Or an escort quest for a child.
Escort quest.
It's not even dangerous.
Please
You just have
take
to make
my
sure they don't run off.
5-year-old son to the other city, please. Oh my god.
I feel like you'd have to worry about retribution there because you know how players get when they do something they don't like.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my
like-
god.
I took this 5-year-old child 700 miles to the nearest city.
And now I have to take him back.
700 to
miles.
the nearest
Jesus
city.
Christ, dude. Where are you at?
Found him in the Badlands.
Listen, you know, it's all about scale, right? Some of these fantasy worlds are just blown
They're
out.
just
like
big,
that.
yeah. Bro, what if, can you imagine you're the quest giver and you have to give your child, like, this is all like a really, really hard quest, right? And you ask your child to be taken, you know, to the other city, and they fail it every single time. You have to give a new child to them. What do you think happens in that? That you get spawned a brand new child every single time someone fails taking your child to the next city.
Well, if we have system fuckery, I assume that you'll grow numb from the trauma after a time.
God.
Otherwise, if you have to organically grow a new child every single time, I think you would quit that job.
This quest can only be taken once every 5 years. It fails.
Oh my god, that's so...
Sorry, 5 years and 9 months.
Oh my god. What do you think the most torturous quest would be besides the one we just talked about? The most torturous quest to hand out.
This pregnant lady is possessed by a ghost. You need to kill her.
Ooh, that's
There are
rough.
some fucked up quests that happen.
That is rough.
I feel like anything with any level of moral ambiguity, because if you really, and this is a DM tip here, if you really want to see your players struggle, have morally ambiguous stakes.
That is rough.
If you can actually get your players over the cloud barrier arguing about the correct decision to make with a quest or an objective, you've done well, in my mind.
All right. So going back over the jobs again, we got to wrap this up. Our first job again was a chauffeur or a carriage driver. We had a retailer or a merchant. And then we had the recruiter or quest giver. Those are some really fun jobs to talk about for this podcast. I enjoyed that a lot.
I did too.
Yeah, that was fun. All the modifiers, D20 rolls, checks, and everything else that goes into this world, and you knowing about it is fucking hilarious. So, Lockie, thanks for joining us on this episode
thank you.
Of course.
of our Baldur's Gate. Hopefully, we can have you on more. I want to do a Skyrim one next. I think that one would be really fun.
Oh, I'm an Elder Scrolls historian.
Yeah, you got that. I got my friend Ethan. He knows a lot about Skyrim. He plays that to death. So, thanks for joining us on another episide of Isekai'd, a fantasy world without superpowers. Keep on doing that. Jesus Christ. Let's try this one more time. Thanks for joining us today on another episode of Isekai'd, a fantasy world without superpowers, doing mundane jobs to get by. For short, HypeTo. See you guys in the next one. Peace out.